Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in the 12th canto that in the Kali Yuga, marriages will be performed only for sense enjoyment, just for the pleasure of sex. And we see that because this is the only criteria, it says that very quickly the marriages also become defunct. I mean, as soon as there is some discrepancy in this, then marriages break out. So that means what we are trying to do is on a very, very superficial level. The relationship is just for pleasure and it is for gratifying one's own self. And so we don't really know the other person, who they are. And not only that, as soon as, because the whole goal is our own sense gratification, if there is a discrepancy, then we feel what's the purpose of this marriage? And so then we break the marriage. And then people also feel there's nothing wrong in marrying again, because anyway the purpose is sense gratification. So if one person is not there, so not working, then we can always go to another person. It seems very logical. On the other hand, even in Vedic at times, materially speaking, also, even society, Indian society about 100 years ago, or even less than that, 50 years ago, was based on, the aspect of love was the center of a family, of service, sacrifice, making the other person happy, and sacrificing one's own comfort and happiness for the benefit of other. So this was the kind of a goal that was there, at least something higher. And and when that was the thing, if one felt that one has to, even if there could be some disturbances within the marriage because of maybe previous relationships or extramarital contacts and so on, but still the goal was very clear that one has to be very true and chaste to one another. So this was very much prominent, and it was actually promoted. People had, immediately understood that yes, in marriage we have to be very, very loyal to one another, and that is the goal. Once you're married, doesn't matter if you had some previous attractions or you come across somebody who's very attractive, all that thing, nobody thinks of indulging oneself, because the whole thing was towards knowing the real person, because it was a little deeper than just this physical attraction and sense enjoyment, which is so prominent today, that is the only basis on which people relate to one another. And so they don't have any higher purpose, even materially speaking. The when one is remains true and loyal like this, then it forms as a basis for understanding the true person, because then you understand that it's not the external body that's important, the soul that it is the soul which is important, the real person. You come to know deeper and deeper that, and the love that you feel is on this is the actual soul. And that's why in the Vedas also it's mentioned that when a person, a husband and wife, love each other like this, then Krishna even arranges, because of the deep affection they feel for each other, although it is temporary in the material world, still, because it's more on the higher level of love, Krishna says that even 7 janmas they are together, because of this deep attachment and loyalty to one another. So anything that is just based on the temporary ephemeral body, that is no value at all, and that doesn't last. And that just in the beginning it may seem very exciting, just like mode of passion is always exciting in the beginning, but it leads to misery and unhappiness. On the other hand, mode of goodness, which is based on higher values, spiritual values, may seem less sense gratification in the beginning, but it's becomes more and more nectarian as time goes. So everything that has to be in our life has to be have this goal of the spiritual aspect. Only then it can be lasting, only then it can be pleasing to the heart. So and also because religiosity and God consciousness was very, very prominent earlier, a few even 50 years ago. And so they were able to relate with each other in a more spiritual bonding was there. And now we can see society how it's almost like how it is predicted in the Kali Yuga that people will won't even understand what is God. And I mean, that's the depraved situation it will be in when Kali Yuga, duty Kali Yuga starts. People will become so um, clouded in their thinking and so dense that they won't even understand what is God. And so Kalki Avatar has to come, and there's no other way he can teach them. And so he just chops off their heads. So demoniac. And we can see already the blueprint for it is, prominent now. People don't even know what is God or don't bother to think about him. And because of that, they are completely obsessed only with the external, ephemeral world around them, or they see only each other as objects of sense pleasure. And how can such relationships last? And that's why the chastity is not even a virtue anymore. People think it's all right, it's all normal to have extramarital relationships. And because also society promotes this very intimate dealings between men and women, everywhere people they can it's that reserve or that distance is not maintained. And so all these qualities which were very much considered important, because to remain on the spiritual platform, to maintain a very healthy relationship, all these things were considered. But today it is all just thought of as a very regressive. If you're progressive, all that matters is how you are can gratify your senses. That's the logical goal. I mean, anything that towards that's very scientific. Other things, any other values are all very subjective. And anyway, there are actually obstacles and nobody can actually measure them. So people think what can be measured in terms of gross sense gratification, and that's what matters. So we have to watch out on these things and basically think that whatever we are doing should be for a higher goal to achieve Krishna. And even in all our relationships, this must be the most important thing. And that's when we keep Krishna as the most important person to achieve, to please and satisfy him, then we won't be so critical and intolerant of others or just give them up on the slightest pretext. But instead, we will cooperate, we will serve, we'll be patient, we will love, because the soul is lovable. We will see the inner person and not just the externals. So all what Bhagavatam is, Sukadev Goswami is talking about is in the gross materialistic society. And as soon as you, add Krishna into that, then we can transform it into a wonderful platform for making spiritual advancement and going home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.